Hey, it's Moji Solo Wilson. How are you? It's Monday. The weekend was very challenging for me. We lost a very, very close friend on Friday morning to COVID-19. So it's been very challenging. Emotionally, it's been an emotional roller coaster, basically. I am grateful. She died of COVID-19, and that has been. I was supposed to do a show on Friday, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. The tears just won't stop coming. It's really, really, really sad that a 58-year-old woman passed away because of COVID-19 in the United States. May her soul rest in peace, and I am grateful for the opportunity to have known her. And for you guys that are out there, I'm going to continue to ask you guys to be safe. Stay home if you don't have to go anywhere. Make sure that your children and yourselves, you have your mask on, you wash your hands often. And if you know that you have, any kind of illness that does anything to your immune system, definitely you don't want people coming in and out of your home or your space. This is Moji Solo Wilson. The show today is going to be a lot of information that I pay dearly for, excuse me. My voice is not the same, but I know Reverend Vicky would want me to continue with the show and continue to shed light on some things, and maybe even I might learn some new things. So hang in there. I'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Moji Solo Wilson, and the show, really, we're talking about relationships. This is the third part of the relationship series. We started off with moving on. 2 weeks ago, we did a show on moving on, and then today we'll be doing a show on pretty much we're doing the show on. Last week we did the show on moving on, letting go. Then last week we did moving on. So letting go basically meaning you let go of your past relationships, you let go of the past person, you let go of everything else. And then today's show is about, my face looks distorted, so let's do something different. But anyways, today's show is about stepchildren, having stepchildren and going into relationships and such. That's what today's show is about. So it's really a very easy conversation, but a lot of people are going to be hurt by it because, unfortunately, I'm telling it as it is, like I always do. My name is Moji Solo Wilson. I am not Willy Wonka, so I don't sugarcoat things, and people might get upset. So what do I mean by blended families? Most people don't even realize what blended family means. Blended family is very simple. In the olden days, they call it step parenting. Now we became a little bit more fancy, and we call it blended family. And that's because we are actually blending two families together. Step parenting, excuse me for a second, step parents and the children, and sometimes the exes and such. So when we talk about blended family, we're talking about bringing in a new person, a new partner into the relationship. And that's pretty much what we're talking about, right? So when you're talking about bringing in a new person into the relationship, you already know that there's going to be friction. One of the things that I learned, of course, because I was a lot older, by the time I met my wife, I met her, I was about 52 or something like that, 51. So I've been through a whole bunch of series of relationships. And as you guys know, I am a lesbian. I was in the closet in a heterosexual relationships for a while. And and then I got married to a man for 12 years. So I've been married on both spectrums, if you really think about it. And I'm a parent of 4. So I'm bringing my experiences to the table today. Because when you go into a relationship, it's really you and your new partner that's starting a relationship. But it's very important to understand that if you have children, you're bringing the children along with you for the ride. And I always say the ride because it is a ride, it's a journey. And it's a journey for you, it's a journey for your children, it's a journey for pretty much everybody that's involved in the relationship. Most people think because you're in a relationship with just um, because you're in a relationship with a person that you guys are the only ones that truly count, not understanding that of course there's going to be the children that matter as well. There's going to be family that you're bringing in. There's going to be uncles and aunts. There's going to be grandmothers and godmothers and godfathers and things like that. And what most of us don't also realize is that when we as a human decide to go into a relationship with somebody else, they themselves have fathers, mothers, brothers, cousins, and God forbid they have stepchildren. And I say God forbid, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So when you start dating a person, you want to be, I always recommend to my clients, my life coaching clients, that they have to be very, very transparent in the very beginning. And part of the problem is, remember when I was doing the parenting series, we talked about how biological mothers, because fathers don't have this problem, where we see our children as something they totally are not. A lot of us walk around believing our children are the bomb. We walk around believing the teachers in school are horrible, up until when COVID happened and we had to stay home and teach our children. All of a sudden, we all got to see who exactly our children are. But most of the time we walk around with blinders. We walk around with tinted glasses, that we don't really see our children as they are. And it's so much easier for other people to see our children as they actually are. So let me give you a good example. I have a friend whose child is very, very active, very, very all over the place, always jumping up and down and doing, when you walk into a store with her, I get embarrassed every time I walk into a shop with her, because our son is all running up and down and jumping up on things and such. And this particular one day, we were in a grocery store, and I kept saying to her, you can't have your child climbing all the shelves and things like that. It's embarrassing. And she looked at me and said, "What's your problem? Why are you always so mean to my child?" Honey, let me tell you, they had just stocked a whole pile of cans. You know how they do those sales in the middle of ShopRite? They had just stocked a whole pile of cans, and they made a pyramid with it. And this kid decides to go and climb it, right? Now, I'm standing there going, you got to tell your child to be, he's just very adventurous. Oh my God, he's so smart. He's so this. The kid tries to climb up a 7-foot pile of cans, and the cans fell on him. He was in the hospital for a week. Okay, but the mother did not see when I was saying to her, don't allow your child to run. See, I'm old school Nigerian. I'm 55 years old. My father would give me a look, and I would know exactly. I know exactly the look that said I'm in trouble. I know the look that said shut up. I know the look that. In America, we don't have looks. Parents are just having themselves turned around, like a spindle by the children. So, but that's another show. Bottom line is that we biological mothers don't usually see our children as they are, and some fathers don't as well. But I think fathers have a better, I don't know, maybe it's because they didn't carry the child for 7 months or 9 months or whatever. So a lot of the times that we as mothers don't see our children. And let me tell you something, when you start to date a person, I don't care if you're gay, straight, crooked, bisexual, monisexual, trisexual, if you have children, you want to make sure that you date that person for quite a while and get to know them before you introduce them to your children. Because I'm telling you, most relationships don't last. And a lot of us, especially African women, we're always complaining how men don't want to date us, which is part of misogyny. And I get it. I'm a lesbian. When I met my wife, if my wife had met my children the first week, I'm telling you, we wouldn't even be here. We will totally not be here, because my adult children were not the nicest to my wife. It took a while for a couple of them to come around, but the relationship wouldn't have worked. So number one, you don't want to bring your partner in the first date. Don't go on the first date with your children to cook because you're looking for free meal. Or, leave your kids at home. That's not their job. Their job is not to come. A date is like a job interview. And you should not date be in a relationship with the first person when you're just stepping out. It took me about 4 or 5 years to really get to find the one, because I had to work through a lot of my emotions, a lot of my insecurities, a lot of my hurt. So Don't make the first person you go out on a date. A date is like a job interview. You don't go to the job interview and they give the job to the first person. The job is never given to the first person unless it's the right person. You can meet the right person the first time out. Shiku to you. But if you're normal, like the rest of us, I assure you that the first person you meet after your divorce, after your separation, is not always going to be the one. You know what I mean? So you have to, it's like when you go buy a car, some people know exactly what it is that they want. For some of us, we really have to test drive a few cars before we get there. Do you know what I mean? We do. We have to test drive a few cars before we know this is the one we want to buy. So I use the test driving analysis. When you go out on a date with the person, you're trying to, or when you're talking to the person, you're trying to find out who they are, what they like, what they don't like. You're trying to see their temperament in case they're squaring past your own. So you don't want to be in a relationship where the person is getting upset and hyper over something silly. So you're interviewing them on the phone. When I met my wife again, I'll tell you, we were talking for almost 2-3 months. Really, before it became romantic and all that stuff, but I already knew I liked her, and apparently she knew she liked me as well. So it was a marriage made in heaven, but we still got to know each other. We talked a lot on the phone, and then she came visiting New York. She didn't meet my kids. She came several times, and I still would not introduce her to, actually, no. But when I was ready to introduce my wife to my children, she said she's not ready. She wanted to just to get to know me better. Because a lot of the times what happens is that when you're dating somebody and they meet your children, sometimes people think it's a reflection on you, not understanding that there's some children that you give home training and they just refuse to accept it. So you've put in all the work and the kids are not doing their work, but it's a reflection on you because somebody coming out and, and they walk in your home and the kids are jumping up and down, the house is upside down. That's another reason why you have to start preparing your children from jump. You have to let them know, folks, that you're not planning on staying single for the rest of your life. And do not, I repeat, folks, do not tell your sons that they're the men of the house. Because if you're straight and you've told your child, your male child, that is the man of the house, then why in the world do you need to bring another man in? So now the boy is going to feel, and I make that mistakes. I'm telling you from my mistakes that cost me a lot of tears. I make that mistakes where I was telling my son, oh, act like the man. Why are you crying? Be a man. The boy was only, what, 10? So by the time he was like 15 or 16 or something like that, and I was ready to, I was really ready for a relationship, he was like, whoa, he really kicked back. Actually ended up going through all kind of stuff. To cut the long story short, he ended up moving in with his father because our rules and regulation was just a bit too tough. So you want to prepare your children way before you even meet the man. I can't see your comments on here, so please say hello, say something to me. I see a few people on. Just let me know that you're there so I'm not talking to myself. Or else I'll just start recording and putting it. There's no point doing a live chat if I'm not, a live stream if I'm not going to have people talk to me. Anyways, so what was I saying? Oh yeah. So don't start telling your sons, oh, you're the man of the house, you're this of the house, you're the man that, he's not your man, he's your son. So everybody has to know where their position, where they're playing the position. If you choose to stay single, because I know a lot of women that once they leave a relationship, they choose to stay single. Fabulous. Let me tell you, if you're one of those, I'm telling you, shuku to you, darlings. Let me tell you why. If you choose to stay single, your life is going to be fantabulous. Or you don't want to get married again, or you just want to be having your pipes cleaned. Get your pipes cleaned outside. Don't bring the plumber inside. Does that make sense? I repeat, get your pipes cleaned outside. Don't bring the plumber inside. Because you don't want your children to be looking at you like, every day you're switching on, men like you're switching underwear, because you're teaching them that there's no stability in a relationship, right? Remember, what we do is not what we say is not what our children learn from. They learn from our habits. They learn from our walk. They learn from our tears, and they learn from our successes. So you don't want to be switching men or women, depending on your sexuality, if you know that you're not going to get married. And even if you're going to get married, honey, this thing doesn't equal one. So, hey, feed it whatever you got to feed it, but make sure you're doing it outside and you're not bringing that home. It's not everybody that you date. I repeat, it's not everybody that you date that your sushi should meet, your sushi should meet, or your kids should meet. Absolutely not. And the reason I say that is because, look, you meet somebody and it works for 6 months later, they're gone. Emotionally, you're attached. Emotionally, your child is attached. So that the next person that comes along, your child is going to mistreat that person, thinking that person is going to leave too. Your person is going to be blocking your blessing because your child does not want you to be hurt again, right? So you try and separate the two entities. I don't care how you do it, what you do, just make sure that your children are not involved in the very early stages until you decide that this person is worth it. And let me tell you, if you're anything like me, people call me a snob. Shuku to them. By the time, if you're young, you have time to play because I made a lot of mistakes. That's how I got here. But if you're elder, if you're like 40 and up, you ain't got time for that BS. You don't have time to be running up and down, with this one and that one. You need to sit down, and this is what people pay me for, to help them to get them from point A to point B, because, honey, I made a lot of mistakes, especially when you're not yet your authentic self. A lot of young women are not their authentic self, and they think they're ready for a relationship. If you don't know who you are before you go into a relationship, hi, Samira. If you don't know who you are before you go into a relationship, honey, you're going to end up jacked up. You're going to end up jacking the partner up. You're going to end up jacking your children up. Like, I went into marriage knowing that I was gay. I had not been with another woman since I was 14, but I tried to live that heteronormative life. And I pretended, and I did very well. I worked very hard. But what I realized during therapy is that I was working, I owned 3 businesses. I had 22 employees. But I was miserable because I wasn't my authentic self. So what did I do? I chose somebody that would treat me like garbage because I didn't like myself. I chose somebody that would not treat me right because I didn't like myself. I chose somebody that was because I didn't think I deserved better. So I ask people, men, women, make sure that you are self-actualized before you decide to spend the rest of your life with another person. My daughters are 30 and 25. Because of the sermon I've been singing, make sure you know who you are. They're still not married. Because I believe you should get married later on in life. People are going to tell you, oh, your baby factory machine is on a timer. Not lie. Okay? If you can carry a child these days, honey, you can hire somebody to be the incubator, and they'll take your egg and they'll take your husband's sperm and they'll put it together and implant it into somebody or you. Shuku to you. But know who you are, because when you know who you are at that point offering the best version of yourself to your partner. I don't know if that makes sense. You're offering the best version of yourself to your partner, and we're always evolving, we're always growing. So who you are today is not going to be who you are 35 years from now, 10 years, 5 years from now. Imagine you get married at 10, 20, 30, 20 years old. By the time you hit 30, you're done. That's why there's so many divorces, because people think if they're not married and had children by 22, especially Africans, they're a failure. I have friends that are like in their 25, 26, and they have masters and PhDs and all that stuff. But because they don't have children, the parents are telling them, when am I having Peking? When you will bring the Peking? Honey, all children do. I love children. I would have had 25. Thank God I didn't. And I only have 4. But I helped raise a lot of children in my home. Because I love children. So I gave all kids what I didn't have. Remember, you're coming to the relationship with your trauma. And they're coming with their trauma from their childhood, and yours from your childhood, and all the other relationships you've had before them. So you need to know who you are. You need to know what it is that you expect from life. One of the things that I suggest that people do in my life coaching business, Authentic Transformations, is write down what it is that you need. It's the same steps I went to. Write down your core values on one side. Write down what it is that you're looking for in a person. I was told to write 20. I wrote 20, and then my therapist told me to write 10. And then I wrote 10, and she said, give me 5. So those last 5 was the last thing that I walked to the market, as they say, which I wasn't really in the market. I was sitting here being my authentic self, telling the world, doing exactly what I was doing. When somebody that was doing another show said, I don't believe in God. If you believe in God, you need to go and listen to Moji's show, because Moji believes in God. Yada, yada, yada. My wife happened to be watching his live stream. And then she came and watched my live stream and watched me for 18 months without me even knowing, before she sent me an inbox to say hello, because I was about to be jacked by somebody. So you know, people say, oh, you should be going to the bars and going here. Don't go anywhere. Just chill. Keep living your life, being your authentic self. Love will come. It'll come in the weirdest of places, but you have to be ready. Because if you don't know what it is that you're looking for, hi or Lou, it's going to be hard to recognize it when you find it. I only wanted five things. I wasn't asking for much. 5 things. Mary, what was my 5? What was Moji's 5 things? 5 things. I wanted a Nigerian woman because I dated mostly Oyibo people all my life. And the only 2, I think I dated 2 black men in my adult life. I wanted a Nigerian woman because I wanted to cook Nigerian food and have somebody eat it without, you know, throwing up when I cook pepper soup with the head in it. 1. I wanted somebody spiritual because I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious, but I believe in God. I love Jesus Christ. I think Jesus Christ is the funkiest guy ever created. And Jesus just loves people. So I wanted somebody that was spiritual, right? Then I wanted somebody that had their own because, I had always dated people I had to support. I always made money. I always dated people I had to support. So I didn't want to do that anymore. All my life. I mean, I walked out of a relationship and I lost 8 houses. 8 houses. I signed it over in exchange for the children, sole custody. 8 houses. So I wanted somebody that had their own, so, you know, whatever little 99-cent store stuff I have, I was cool with it. Hi, Stella. You know? So I wanted somebody that had their own. Me, I'm thinking I wanted somebody with a job, you know, or business, because I have a real estate business. And at that point, I was doing whatever it was I was doing. But I owned my own real estate company and I was doing my own things and whatever. So I wanted somebody that had their own life, job, life, whatever. That was number 3. Number 4 was they had to be out and single. I was not dating anybody that was married. Why? Because most Nigerian women that I know that were gay are in the closet. They have a husband, they have this, they have that, they whatever. So, and the 5th thing was the person, because I was like 49. No, I was 50. No, 49 when I started the walk, ready for a partner. So I said, I wanted somebody that was 45 and up. Arrogant of me, wasn't it? Yeah, baby. Very arrogant of me. But here's the thing, because people will tell you you're arrogant when you start looking. Or you start to find yourself. See, the more you fall in love with yourself, I always say the more I fell in love with God, the more I fell in love with myself. Because if God said he created everybody according to his own image, of course, I'm absolutely super fantastic, right? And I had spent so much money and time in therapy, in reading books, in life coaches, in this. I had invested so much into my mental state. I was ready, but I was not going to settle. I mean, I dated people, I chose people that cheated on me. I dated a woman that was in the closet. So if she's in the closet and we go out to parties and events, she pretended like we were just sisters and stuff. I'm like, me that I'm out shouting and telling everybody, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. We can't hold hands, we can't dance. That's not going to work. So I knew for a fact that I was not staying with anybody that wasn't true to themselves or living their authentic life. 5 things, that's all I wanted. Honey, let me tell you, not only did I get those 5 things, because once you see, I believe in manifestation, calibration. You know, I'm a student of the law of the law of attraction. As I wish it, so shall it be. Whatever I put out there, I get, because God told me I can. If you're a Buddhist, if you're an atheist, that's fine. You believe, I'm sure you believe in the law of attraction, which is basically what you put out is what you get. So if I put it out into the universe that these are the 5 qualities I want in a person, and I walked my talk, which means I'm not dating this one or dating that one or checking, I'm wasting my energy on people that don't even deserve me. Yes, I said that. I knew I would get exactly what I wanted at the right time, and I would be able to recognize it because there would be no distractions. For you straight people, let me give you the example. If you want a man that has his own business, that has his own job, that has his own this, that has and was spiritual and godly and this and that and whatever it is that you're looking for. But Baba Shukura that's married to 5-10 wives comes along and you go out with him, you're wasting your energy. That's not what you're looking for. You have to learn to stand still and wait for that person. You wait for that person. When you meet that person, you recognize the person. I spoke to my wife once on the phone. She's like, hello, this is Margaret Wilson, because she has a British accent like she's the Queen of England. Right? And I'm thinking, another Oyinbo person, okay, whatever. And I'm like, hi, it's Moji, because me too, I can switch it on. Anytime I want to, I switch on the British, it's not British accent, it's a proper English. I can do ghetto, I can do proper English, I can do whatever it is. I grew up in Nigeria, I was raised in Nigeria, I grew up here. But honey, I can flip back and forth. I flip speak pidgin like Kilo did. So we're on the phone and she's talking, telling me something. And then she's like, oh, you do know I'm Nigerian, right? And I'm like, huh? Oh, what Nigerian woman is called Margaret Wilson? And then she's like, you do know I'm gay? My antennas went up. Alrighty then. So we're talking. She doesn't have any pictures on Facebook, so I can't see her pictures, right? It's kind of cool. So we're talking for weeks. And then one day I'm like, how come you don't get a picture on your kidney now? Because she speaks pidgin like Wari Motopak people. And that's the way we communicate normally. And she's like, how come you don't get a picture for your thing? She's like, I can't be bothered. How come you don't say anything about your life? Yeah, Google didn't bother, because when you know, you know. I just knew I connected to this person and we were just friends and talking. And then somehow, somewhere, the whole conversation just went romantic, right? And then we decided we would date. So she came out on a date and we met and we chatted. But she never met my kids until way later. Thank God. Because the first day she met my kids, my daughter ran downstairs at 5 a.m. I normally get up at 3 a.m. My daughter runs downstairs because I lived in the finished basement downstairs and they were upstairs. I'm in the kitchen making coffee like I do every day. Because I get up at 3 a.m., I do my prayers, I do my meditations, and then I go to the gym and I come back home. By this time, it's about 5 or 6 and I'm making coffee. So my wife and I were in the kitchen making coffee. First time she ever came and stayed over at the house. Normally she stays in a hotel when she comes to town. Honey, my oldest kid runs downstairs and starts shouting, why are you guys being so noisy? Why? Hello. I was embarrassed. And this girl is like 25. I mean, it's my house. You are a guest in my house. You're 25. In America, if you're like 18, you're an adult. So, honey, I was embarrassed. Now, imagine if Margaret had met me on the first or the second date and I had brought her home and my kid was that rude, she'll be like, what kind of parent is this? Alaji, I'm gone, I'm off. So I ask you guys, do me a favor. When you meet the person, don't take them home. The first time, to meet your kids. The second date, the third date, the fourth date, make sure that you're getting along. And like I said, don't sleep with them. Don't sleep with them. I'm a big believer. I mean, if you have to get it scratched, shuku to you. But what happens is that because when you sleep with a person, you become spiritually connected. I was proposed to. Yeah, see this big rock, 2.5 carats, without doing the jiggy jiggy, no test driving, no nothing, but we knew we were compatible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I say, I'm not saying don't do the jiggy jiggy at all, but don't wait a while to get to know the person before you do the jiggy jiggy, because the jiggy jiggy clouds, you become emotionally attached to the person and it clouds your judgment. A lot of people fall in love. I don't believe in falling in love. I believe in walking into love, because when you fall, you lose your balance. Your head becomes, you become clouded. You don't see straight. So I say, don't fall in love, oh, while do not fall in love. Walk into love, which is exactly what I did. I walked into love. And I'm not saying it works for everybody. Some people like this fantasy island, scoop me up my feet and Kiriko carry me, or the damsel in distress where the white knight comes, whoosh, and swishes you off on the white. That's bullshit. It's a lie. It's a bloody lie. Let's be real. It doesn't work that way. For some, it does. I'm telling you, everything comes with a price. Just be sure that you're willing to pay that price. So I say, when you meet a new person and you have children, do yourselves a favor. Don't bring them to meet your children until much later, when you're sure, because when you break up with that person, your kids are going to be breaking up with that person, and you yourself will go. I'm telling you, you yourself, hi Stella, you yourself will go. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be emotionally distraught when the guy is left, especially if you slept with him. Because every time you sleep with somebody, they're leaving a deposit in. I'm a spiritualist, so I don't know about your church books. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not even about morality. Because I'm not saying you have to get married to do the jiggy jiggy. Don't marry anybody until you've test driven there, because the seats might just not be right. You know what I'm saying? But don't do it too quickly. That's what Moji. That's the sermon according to Moji. So make sure you don't, and prepare your children, like I said before, to let them know that you're going to be with somebody eventually, so that they can start preparing themselves mentally for you to bring in a partner, right? So now you meet the guy and everything is great, or the woman, because I'm a lesbian. You meet the woman and everything is great. You're going to go through hell. I'm telling you, hell. And I'm not trying to scare you. Hell, HELL, hockey stick, that one. Because your children, a lot of children are going to rebel. They'll do everything in their power to break up your relationship, because half the time, a lot of these young kids, and there's a book called by Suzanne No Fuss that I'm going to ask you to read if you're a step parent and you're going through hell. It's called Suzanne No Fuss wrote the book, and it's called Wednesday. Somebody Wednesday wrote it. I'll put it as a comment here. The children are looking to find their own space, because now that you're in a relationship, but they'll be looking for their own space. Where do they fit in your life? Because a lot of the things that you were doing before, you're not able to do, or maybe it's the time that you spend with them, you're not able to spend that much time anymore. You have to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing before, that's why I kept saying, before you start to date, make sure you've been telling them that you will be dating, so that they're used to the fact that you have your own life. Do not allow your children to believe that they will be your whole life, because what would happen then is that you will not be able, thank you, Margaret, that's my wife. You will not be able, and I repeat, it's not because I'm mean, you will not be able, and I don't know why I'm not seeing the comments here. You will not be able to rewire those children, because you have weaned them. You have told them that they are the love of your life, that they are the only people that matter, that everything that they do is I don't know why I can't see the comments on here. But anyways, is that everything that you're doing is about them. So when you don't have your own life, I can't see your comments, guys. You need to come to the public page so that I can see your comments. I don't know what's going on. But bottom line is that when you raise your children to believe that everything revolves around them, that no man, no woman, is above them, you just created monsters. A lot of us don't believe our children are baby kids. A lot of us think we have amazing children. I used to think all my kids were amazing. Some are, but it's not all of them that are amazing. So I used to think all my kids are amazing, and I walk around, I have amazing kids. I used to have family meetings on how to spend the money that I worked on. I used to have family meetings on what to cook and what to eat with minors that I'm paying the bills for. So when I got married, they forgot that they were the kids and I'm the adult. It become knack. We went through hell. But the bottom line is that at the end of the day, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. Having a relationship after you've been through a horrible divorce or whatnot is very hard. I'm telling you, it's like restructuring. Unless you did the homework, you read the books, you got to read a lot of books on step parenting if you're a step parent. And let me talk to step parents coming in too. Let me not just beat up stepmothers or stepfathers and all that stuff today. Let me tell you something very, very interesting. A lot of step parents come in, or partners come into relationships with this false reality that the child is going to be my child, honey. I'm sorry. That child biologically is not your child. So when you meet somebody like me that has a child, and these are conversations I've had openly with my wife, and the truth is, you're making an investment into somebody else's child. Yes. You have to come correct into the relationship. This ain't your child, though. Because there's some boundaries that might be put up that you're not going to like. And if you're not one of those people that are transparent, that my wife and I will have conversations and I'll be crying, because I'd rather she slap me than tell me these truths. I'm telling you, we have these conversations with each other, and it's like, normal people can't take it, but we have to be transparent with each other. She has to let me know how she feels, or else we won't get from point A to B. If you guys are just tripping around and not being transparent and having honest conversations with each other, Egbe will not. These kids are not yours if you're step parents. They might be yours, But there's nothing you can do without consulting the other parent. If you're straight or gay, it doesn't matter. We're all in the same bucket. If you're, I had stepchildren from my ex. From my ex, I had stepchildren that I was paying. I was buying clothing, paying tuition, checking their, I paid the kids' phone bill for many, long time. I was even paying child support on a kid I had nothing to do with. I didn't do the jiggy jiggy to have the kid. My ex cheated and had, I paid child support on that kid. Ask me when was the last time the kid sent me a text to say hello. Ask me when he ever called to find out if I was okay. Not many, many years. So whatever you do, you're doing because you're that kind of a nice person. You're doing it because you're a good-hearted, kind-hearted person. So don't walk into the relationship and think, oh, because you do this and you do that, and then the kids have, Your wife or your husband should be your focus. Whatever you do for their child cannot be automatically because you fall in love with the child. Hell no. It's because of the love of your partner. That's what makes you do things for their child. My wife cannot stand, let me not speak for her, but my kids were not really nice to my wife. I'm telling you, my children were not very nice to my wife at all. You take care of the kids, right, Samira? They are so ungrateful. Tell me about it. A lot of kids don't even care. They just they'll play you like, I'm talking to the step parents now, they will play you like a piano. They will come to you and tell you, daddy won't give me this, and then you'll get it for them. They never ask their dad. So that has put you in a position. That's why it's important for the adults to have common sense. And there's no competition. It's a cooperative. My father had 12 wives. 12. 12 wives. Can you imagine? I only have one. My father had 12 wives. Jesus. It's not easy. But I was a stepchild too. And I know the games that I played. But I didn't think I would get it back, honey. I got it back in 20 folds. Whatever you put out, you get it back. So, like I said earlier, make sure that your children are prepared for you to go into relationships. Make sure that everybody, yes, indeed, get your pipes cleaned outside, for real. So make sure, I missed something. I decided to stay single so much better, yes. And I'm not saying people should stay single, Samira. I'm saying that work on yourself, become self-actualized before you go into another relationship that's serious. There's nothing wrong with you dating. There's nothing wrong with you chilling. Do it. Do whatever makes you happy. Get your pipes clean, but get it done outside. Don't bring the person in until you know that that person is a person that you like and you want to be with. And there's no guarantees that relationships will work. That's one of the reasons why get your pipes cleaned outside. So back to step parents. Don't go in there with a false reality or fantasy island that this child is yours because that child ain't yours. But the love that you have for your wife or your husband or your whatever, boyfriend, baby, sugar mama, sugar daddy, whatever, will bleed into the lives of the children. So that whatever it is that you're doing for the children, you're doing it for your wife and not the children. Because if you put a label on it for the children, some days you'll wake up and go, what the am I doing this for? Why am I here? So you want to make sure of that. You want to make sure also that once you've decided that you want to be in a relationship with this person and you bring them in, you have to make sure that you have boundaries. Boundaries. It's very simple. Boundaries. Oh my God. I said simple, right? It's one of the hardest words in the universe to work with. Boundaries. What are boundaries? Knowing exactly the limitations of your children. Knowing exactly, like our bedroom, nobody can come into it because it's our erotic zone. I mean, I don't want our son to come and lay in the bed that, nah. I don't want our son in our bathroom. No. I don't want our son in anywhere in our suite. We have a big house. Pick one of the many, many living rooms and we'll meet there. Pick the music room, we'll meet there. Pick the movie theater in the house, we'll meet there. The kitchen, yeah. But our bedroom, no. No, because that's our erotic zone. You have to remember that when you have children, there's so much that you give to the children as a couple that you have to save a little something for yourselves. And then don't forget that once you get into the relationship with this person and they pop the question, oh my God, now you're engaged. Oh Jesus. Yay, Hercules, Hercules. Honey, That's when the problem really starts. See, all that time that you're still dating, your kids are happy, and Uncle James is nice, Uncle John is nice, or Auntie Mary Jane is good. When they know this thing is about to be permanent, that's when World War III starts. Because all this time that you've been dating Uncle John, all this time that you've been dating Mary, they're still in the back of their heads thinking, yeah, Uncle John is about to leave and my dad's going to come back. Or Mary's about to leave and my mom is going to come back. And they're plotting, subliminally sometimes, but they're plotting. Plotting, right? And some of these kids don't mean any harm. Again, it's subliminal because you never prepare them for the reality that one day you're going to be in a relationship with somebody else. Mistakes. I've been there. I make them. And a lot of my friends continuously make them. And when they call me, I tell them the same thing I'm telling you. You need to start telling your kids that you're going to be in a relationship one day. Because if you don't prepare them, they'll feel like they were blindsided. And that is not a good place to be. So now, we've talked about the kids, we've talked about the parents. Now let's go back to the exes. I have to breathe. Woosa. Let's go back to the exes. Remember I said, when you leave your ex relationship, you got to let go. In the show last week, yeah, we talked about letting go. This is where it's most important. Because if you have not let go from the previous relationship, you're dragging dead bodies along with you everywhere you go. So you're in a new relationship, if you guys are the type that get married like we were. So now you're married to a new partner. Yeah, shuku to you, yay, congratulations. But guess what? Your mentality is still back there. You're still calling your ex-in-laws my in-laws. You're still going to the ex-in-laws' Christmas parties, birthday dinners, as what? As what? What are you? You can't do that. See, you got to let go. You got to let go of the ex and his family and all that stuff. And look, the children have a right to go to their family house. So you make sure they go to the birthday dinners, bar mitzvahs, weddings, whatever it is, make sure the children go. But remember, you are now an ex. When you become an ex, don't think the family is going to be loyal to you. I was in for a shocker. My ex-sister-in-law and I were very tight, I thought. I didn't realize until when my ex-husband was I had taken him to court. We were only at 65,000 then. And this same man, that's the godfather to my children, to my sons, sent me a text saying, if you don't drop the case, I'll never talk to your kids again. You do know he's my brother. And blah, blah, blah. Then blood is thicker than water. It was like somebody stuck me in the heart with a knife. These are people that name the present there. Every year, I spend many, many days in their home. Even after I was separated, even after I was divorced, many, many days in their homes. We will do so much things together. I'm not even going to put stuff out there, but I was hurt. Because when push came to shove, as a human being owes me $65,000. A human being, child support. And the market had crashed. A lot of things had happened that this person did to me. I had given him 8 houses in exchange for full custody of the kids. All he had to do was pay child support. He never even showed up on time to pick up the kids. Sometimes did not see them for a long time. And here, honey, the brother was like, That's when I learned that once you are no longer in the relationship with their family members, they're not going to dump their family member for you, period. So you need to start to find, that's why it's important to have your own identity, so that when you, God forbid, anything happens, you, what? You go and you keep moving, so that when you find your relationship, you have enough space and emotional currency to spend with your new family. Because what happens is, because you have children, you think you have to be running to this person's bar mitzvah. Oh, cousin James is having a function in the United Kingdom. You're going to pay for your own ticket, pay for the child to go. No, put the child on the plane and have them pick up their family on the other end. So you got to let go. Letting go is one of the hardest things to do ever. Me, I tell you, burn the goddamn bridge. Yes, it is. Yes, they turn on you and your children. It's very hurtful. Trust me, I know. Because when, and the funny thing is, people will always tell you, oh, it's going to be great, it's going to be great, it's going to, boo, when shit happens. It be done that. Yo. Problem with that is that you're spending all this energy trying to build a relationship with your past. You have no space to build a relationship with your current family. You have no space to build a relationship with your current partner to do things. Honey, I should write a book. I think I will write a book. I have so much information from my life work. I will write a book. Because it's crazy that the stuff that people go through, but we don't think about things like that. See, when you're bitter and you have animosity and you're angry and that gets whose joy gets eroded. Yours. It gets eroded. Boom, honey. Write a dear God letter like I did one day. The guy owed me $95,000. We're going back and forth in church, from court. 30,000 in court fees. My wife and I are spending all this emotional currency on BS that doesn't yield jack. Hey, I wrote a dear God letter. You know me and my dear God letter, people. I pick up the pen one day. I wrote a dear God letter. Dear God, I know I always wanted children, and I told you I just wanted children, and you gave me 2 kids. Okay, this guy owes me 95,000. I'm putting all this into your hands. I dedicate this to you as a burnt offering. I went to the backyard. I burnt the letter, and I watched the smoke go up to God. And I said, God, it's in your hands. Take care of it. But I'm done. Who could have used 95,000? Especially me, that I was running around. I was homeless at one point when the market crashed. And then I started, I looked around me. I rode a bicycle in the middle of winter after riding a Range Rover and a Mercedes Benz and named the car, don't drive it. And I'm looking at myself, are you really going to let go on that? Yes. Because I chose me. After I chose me, then I chose my wife. Because if I don't choose me first, I can't choose my wife. Am I making sense? If I don't choose me, I cannot choose my wife. So I went to the backyard and I burned the paper and I went to my wife and I said, honey, you see that? Because the lawyer is making $300 an hour. We're going to call back and forth. Kilo day. $30,000 later to collect 95,000. I said, you know what? I don't care. It was the principle, not the money, because we don't need the money. Honey, I'm letting that go. She goes, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. Our relationship is more important than 95,000. Yeah. When I told my mom, she's like, sure. I said, I hope it's not the winches, because these people are Haitian. I hope it's not the winches that came after you. I said, no, it's not. Sometimes you have to let go. Just burn the bridge. People tell you don't burn the bridge, or you never know when. Honey, burn the damn bridge. But make sure that the bridge to you is what you're burning, not the bridge to the children's family, because that's their family. Right? So 3 things we talked about. It's almost an hour. Next thing to be very careful of is not to damage the children by telling them stories about their father. See, a person or a mother, father or mother, a person might not be a good mother, might not be a good father. Might not be a good husband or a wife. It doesn't make them not be a good father, right? And some people are just not good, period. But it's important to have the children discover that themselves. When you are able to dissect yourself from the relationship between the father and the child because you want control, honey, the gate to your love life and your freedom opens up. Because now there won't be any back and forth. Now there won't be anybody bringing you wahala. Now there won't be anybody coming to you with stories back and forth and all that stuff. Now you'll have time to pay attention to your partner. Yes, there will still be problems because the ex, that one that you burn the bridge to, is going to be trying to get to you any which way. Not because they want you, but because, see, when you are down, people love it. When you're up, a lot of people don't like it, especially when you're lucky and you get somebody like my wife to be your partner, where you get along and you're in sync and the world doesn't like it. So you have to protect your space. 4 things we talked about. You cannot be afraid to stand still, not to date anybody, not to be with anybody, not to allow yourself to be used like toilet paper. And let me tell you again, I repeat, that down there does not eat any corn. So if you need a plumber, make sure you're going outside. Don't bring the plumber into your home, because your kids might get attached and then they'll be disgruntled later. Your kids might think you're a floozy. You don't want that. Even, I mean, if you are, that's your business. You don't want the kids to be all up in your business either. So make sure that when you're dating a person, in my opinion, when you first start dating a person, don't jump into bed with them immediately. That's Moji's opinion. That's what works for me. It might not work for you. But for me, when I'm dating somebody, I want to get to know them. I don't get turned on by people's looks, and it's their mind, you know? I'm a sapiosexual. So for a lot of Nigerians, it's like, what's that? A lot of Nigerians are money sexual. I'm sorry, but they are. A lot of Nigerians are money sexual. And that's, wait. I forgot to even tell you. By the way, a lot of you guys are so worried about what people drive, what they look like, and what not done. You forget the spiritual connection. I'm not saying all of that is not important, but if there's not that sexual attraction and that intelligence dance that you do, that sexual dance, there's nothing more. Oh, I need to fan myself. I'm telling you, when I think about the days my wife and I were courting, I just get I get like I'm going through menopause, so I get flashed. But seriously, I'm telling you, getting to know a person is so very important and very important even earlier in life, because you don't want to be jumping in and out of bed and na. But when you meet that person that you think might be worth it, honey, I recommend you test drive the car. Test drive the car. Test drive the car. Test drive the car, because bad sex after you're married is not going to keep your relationship together. You need to be able to do the jiggy, really jiggy. And then, because when you're not, jiggy makes you spiritually connected with the person, like I said earlier in the show, but it also awakens something, because when you've been in a relationship for 2, 3, 4 years and you're doing missionary position and all that stuff, it gets boring. So you're able to be with somebody that you're comfortable enough to get freaky with or not. And it's important that you keep your erotic zone very safe. Your bedroom should be safe. You don't want to have all kinds of whips and chains and all kinds of stuff all over the place, and your kids are allowed to go in the drawers and things like that and go, what is this, mommy? Seriously. So I see your comment, Samira, and I'm coming to that. So like I said earlier in the show, make sure that when you meet a person, you get to know the person. Make sure you're preparing your children before you even start dating, that to let them know you're not going to be single for the rest of your life. You're planning on bringing somebody else in, or you're planning on meeting a partner, hopefully. Prep them. Don't tell the kids that your life, don't tell them that without them you can't survive. That's a lie, and you know it. But you don't want to do that, because what happens is that the children become territorial and they don't want to let you in. More importantly is the fact that a lot of us biological mothers do not recognize when our children are baby kids. Baby kids are spoiled kids, rotten kids. A lot of us parents don't recognize that. A lot of problem, even when we see it, we don't admit it. We make excuses until somebody else comes in, and it becomes an egg that drops on the floor that you can't pick up. Samira says, I think my problem, I can't move from the abuse, and then the family mistreat is so hard. I understand what you're saying, Samira, and I know you for many years. You're a friend of my daughter's. I totally understand you, but we'll talk off screen if you want to. You can inbox me with your number and I'll call you, because I'll share some of my experiences with you. My walk was not easy, and you can't move from the abuse. That has a lot to do with self-esteem. And I stayed in a relationship I should have left before. I shouldn't have even have been married to this person, because you know what happened. He was cheating on before we got married, but I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't like myself, so I didn't think I deserved any better. So Samira, I'll inbox you when I get off the show. John, you're laughing. Olu says, I totally agree. Don't bash the father, not fair on the children. And I did that. Yeah, true. We all did it. That's how do we get here? We all did it, right? Yeah, John, some people are money sexuals. I have a lot of friends that are money sexuals. For me, money didn't matter. My father had money. I made money. And then I lost all my money. And I thought I was going to die when I lost all my money. But more money, more problems. I was so used to giving people this and being everything for everybody. And then I realized, hey, it's not that serious. And when you are dating money sexuals, you know. My ex-husband is a money sexual. That's how I know the definition of money sexual. Because it was always about money. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about the kids. It wasn't any. Because if it was about the kids, he would have sold the house from underneath us and made us homeless and still owed me all that money. But it was about him, what he could get from people. There are a lot of money sexuals. And that's okay. Just know who you are. That's all I ask. I don't ask for much in life. Very simple. Kids can be selfish. Oh my God, really? Of course they can be. Most kids are selfish. You and I were kids before. Most kids are very selfish. They look at what they can gain. They look at what it is in for them. And that's how they live their lives. That's why it's important that you start training them from jump that your life is your life. And their life is their life. And they need to go. See, a lot of Africans, we keep our children at home till they're like 25, 26. We do. Instead of kicking them out to go like the birds. I watched a bird nest behind our home the other day. And for about a week, I was watching this bird. It would come and it would fly and feed the birds. Come and it would fly and feed the birds. After like 6, 7 days, I watched them all starting to fly. There was one that wasn't flying, and I saw her got shoved out of the nest. And I'm like, oh, she's not going to make it. Well, honey, boop, 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 boop. Tough love. So kids can be selfish. Yes, they can. And a lot of us have been kids, and we've been selfish as well. Hello, Princess Mochi. Ex and I get along very well, and the kids see that. It's very important that you do. Get along with your exes. It's very important that you have boundaries. It's very important that, there's getting along and there's getting along. So, but get along. I recommend get along because it's better for the children. Getting along does not mean you're having them over in your house for dinner and your new partner, unless your partner is into that throuple thing that's going on these days. And I don't mean sexually throuple. There's a lot of people that don't understand that emotional cheating is cheating. If you spend a lot of time with your ex and I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but a lot of people do it, and that's because they're still stuck in the past. You should be able to have a decent relationship with your children's father or mother for the children's sake. Have open communication so the kids are not dribbling you guys like soccer. But we're talking about building boundaries for your new relationship to be able to thrive. What I find is that a lot of people are stuck in the past, so they're not able to move forward with their new partnership. The partners are discounted. The partners seem not to count. The partners are not respected either, because the partners have not been given the seat at the head of the table with the mom or dad. A lot of men run around talking about, they won't date single women, they won't date single mothers, and we get upset. A lot of I'm no longer a single mother. A lot of single mothers get upset. And from my walk, from being able to stand in front of the mirror naked and look at my life, I looked at my wife one day and I said, thank God you don't have children. You chose not to have children. And I know you're gasping for air right about now. How could you say that? But you have 4 children. Yeah, that's why I could say it. Because I know what hell my wife and I went through. More so my wife, because at least not being born the Pekin. She didn't give birth to those kids, I did. So I had no choice. But she had a choice. And she chose to be in a relationship with me. So I woke up one morning and then chose to put boundaries up. Remember we talked about boundaries earlier. Without boundaries, your relationship, your friendship, your loveship, your childship, no relationship is going to work, because people have to know how far they can go. When I talked about boundaries, make sure you have boundaries. If you have children, make sure they're not jumping in your bed. The same bed that you and your partner do the jiggy in. Make sure your kids are not laying in there, because that's not their place. Plus, you want that to be your erotic zone, like that place you go to and the sultry emoji comes out. Yeah, baby. And I start playing the, what's that guy's song? Flavor, Ashewu. Sawa, 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 le. Sawa, 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 le. Ashewu. Yeah, every woman, every guy has to have a bit of Ashewu in him. And I don't mean money for background. That freaky, funky, yeah. That bedroom of yours should be a way for you guys, erotic zone. Even if it's just to chill, meditate, whatever, it's your space. I'm big on spaces. We have a prayer room. We have this room, a music room where we go and play music. Even when I lived in a 2 bedroom, I had a basement finish for myself so I could have my own spaces. That's where I used to do majority of my shows. If you ever run across one of my tapes and it's like a mustardy yellow color background, it was in the basement. Right now I have a whole studio to myself. Everything like relationships takes work, dedication, attention to detail. Because if you think you know how to do it, everything right, you'll never learn. But when you're open and you're able to have authentic conversations with your partner, and you're able to tell your partner your innermost dirty secrets, I'm telling you, it might be hard in the beginning to work, but it will work out. Having children, blended family situations, they're the hardest in the world, but it's doable. It's doable when the two adults in the new relationship, and sometimes when the exes on the outside, know their place. And how do they know their place? You are the one that has to draw the boundaries. You are the one that has to set the table. You are the one that has to set the rules, not your partner. Don't expect your partner to be the disciplinarian, because half the time, let me tell you what we do, especially mothers. Oh, it's because you're not the one that carried the child, so you don't even know what it feels like. We tell that to especially mothers. We tell that to even biological fathers. We tell them that. Let alone the new partners. Do you know what that makes that person feel like? Like crap. I know, I've been there. On both sides, because I have stepchildren and I have children that I brought into my new relationship. So 3 things I want you guys to take away from this. 3 things. When you break up, when you let go of the past relationship, make sure you find yourself first. Make sure you self-actualize and know who you are, so you know what it is that you're looking for. Before you start to date, write down 20 things that you need from a person, from a relationship, not from a person, because you have to come to the table 100. I'm not one of those schools where I teach people to go 50-50. No, come correct. Let them come correct. The day you're short, they're still surplus. The day the person, he or she is short, you're still surplus, right? So come to the table correct, know who you are, know what it is that you want, make a list, 20 of the things that you want, narrow it down to 10, then narrow it down to 5. It's easier to find 5 things in a person than it is to find 20, because you have to compromise. Nobody has it all. So find somebody that complements you, not somebody that's exactly the same like you, because then you'll be deficient, right? Me, I have spellingitis. My wife has like 10 degrees and so many certificates on the wall. So she makes up for that. Sorry, I can't help myself but crack jokes. I always crack jokes and I laugh at my own jokes. So bottom line is, find somebody that complements you, not somebody that's exactly like you. Because if somebody's exactly like you, you're still deficient. So find what your core 5 things are. In my case, I wanted somebody Nigerian, somebody that was a lesbian and out, somebody that was spiritual, somebody that had their own, and somebody that was 45 and over. Because I'm not, this is not a babysitting joint. I've done that. I've dated people on, no. And I was not dating any Nigerian woman that had a husband at home, because I just am not. And I have a prerogative. And people will call you a snob, like I said earlier. But it's okay to be called a snob than for you to be miserable in a relationship that's not going to work, because you don't know what you want from a relationship. So when God answered my prayers, God gave me like a gazillion things in the same human being. I was only looking for 5. Get it? Don't become Wobia. Anyways, so that was number 2. Figure out what it is that you want. Or number 1 was self-actualize. Number 2 was figure out what it is that you want in a person. Make sure you write it down so that you know that's your go-to. Number 3 was don't date every Tom, Dick, and Jones that comes around. Chat with them. Don't sleep with every Tom, Dick, and Jones that comes around. Chat with them, date them, but don't test drive the car until you're sure that that's kind of going to go somewhere. And do not bring that person home. If you are doing the jiggy with that person, before you're sure that you want to be with that person, and there's no time frame. You could meet a person and it takes 6 months to feel comfortable to bring them home. You could bring a person and it takes 2 weeks to get to know that person, and you know that this is a person. But make sure that, if you're doing the jiggy, don't bring the person home, because you don't want the children to think you're a slut, number 1. You don't also want the children to get emotionally attached to the person. You also want time to understand the person before you introduce them to your children. The most important thing is before you start dating, years before you start dating and you're out of a relationship, make sure you tell your children, let them know, oh, when I get my boyfriend, when I get my girlfriend, if you're gay, or if you're a guy and you're gay, when my new boyfriend comes into town. Look, you figure out a way to say it. I used to joke all the time. I mean, but my kids never heard me. They just thought we were going to be living together for the rest of our lives. No. They did. They thought we were going to be doing it all together, just living in the same house, and they will go to work and I'll be paying the bills. And no, it didn't work that way. And it would never work that way, anyways. But I learned from my walk, and a lot of my friends walk, that you must let them know. Number 3, let go of the in-laws, let go of because you have to make room for the new family in your life. Because when you think about the in-law situation, you're an ex. Their brother or sister that you were married to is still their brother or sister. Their loyalty is to their family, not you. Their loyalty is to their nephews and nieces and cousins and whatever, not you. So you want to leave enough room, let go of the past so that you can have the emotional currency to spend with your new partner and your new partner's family. Once you do that and you get into a relationship with a person, you introduce your new date person to your children. Make sure that your children are not baby kids, because nobody wants baby kids. Trust me. I had a baby kid and it was horrible. We almost broke up a couple of times. We ended up going to therapy. My wife and I ended up going to blended family therapy and all that stuff. And around that time is when I decided I was going to be a life coach and specialize in blended family, because a lot of my friends, a lot of people I know, 70% of relationships break up. That's when I decided to be a life coach. Yeah. Because all the tools and all that I learned along the way, I would like to be able to pass it on to other people. The last thing that I touched on, letting go, and not, speaking badly of the parent that's outside, and allowing the step parents to find their own footing. Like, don't put a label on them that, oh, this is my husband, this is the father. Like, don't force your children to call somebody daddy or mommy, because they have a daddy and they have a mommy. Our son chose to call my wife mom 1, and I'm not mom 2, but that's his choice. You let everybody figure their relationship out organically. And you do know organic is like, most of that stuff is ish, right? It's like cow dunk. So they go through whatever it is that they go through together. They find their own footing. They might butt heads a couple of times. Eventually things will settle and everybody will know their boundaries. Relationships with children are not the easiest things, but they are workable if we all choose to be real. Especially mothers, biological mothers, I don't care if you're gay, straight, or crooked. I've looked at my wife and said some of the most horrible things. Like, you don't have children, you don't understand. Honey, she understands better because she doesn't have children. Because she's looking at the children like normal human beings while we're looking at. I see my 30-year-old and I'm still thinking she's 6 months old. My wife looks at her as a human being. And then one day I'm sitting in therapy with my therapist, because my eldest daughter and I don't get along. And my therapist is like, you're dealing with this person as a child. You need to start dealing with her as an adult. The girl was 25. And I was still talking to her like she was 6 months old. A lot of us parents do that. So allow everyone to find their own footing. They will. Make sure that you are ready when you go into a relationship with someone that has children. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Doesn't mean it won't settle down. It doesn't mean it won't become good. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be hunky-dory, but at least you can find boundaries and you can find a middle ground. Going into a relationship after divorce is really, really a hard work, because you have to understand that there's going to be times when you're confused and you don't understand what's going on. I have dyslexia, so I call it spellingitis. But anyways, yes, or pagan in the bedroom. But anyways, it's important that you are your authentic self first, that you learn to love you first, and then once you learn to love you and you learn who you are, then you'll be able to understand who will complement you. I always tell my clients, I pray you don't find somebody exactly like you. That's boring. Plus, if somebody is exactly like you, you'll always be like this, right? The beauty of shuku is you see, it's a unity of some sort, right? Or you can do this, power. But when you do this, it's stronger, right? That's shuku. So when I say shuku to you, it's like boom, power to you, boom, high five, boom, congratulations, boom, shuku. When you find who you are, life becomes fun, it becomes light. You don't take everything so damn seriously. Your authentic self is what's going to attract your authentic partner. Not somebody that just wants to do the jiggy jiggy and run, hit and run. Not somebody that's been there, done that. Practice makes perfect, yes, but don't over practice because you don't want to become a Volkswagen Bug 1968 with like too many miles on it. And nobody now wants it. What do I mean by too many miles? Not down there, down here and in here. Because when you have too much mileage and you're cluttered with history and this and that, and the hurt from that person and the hurt from that person and the hurt from that, honey, there's no room for your mate. There's no room for your soulmate. There's no room for your partner because you're carrying too much luggage around. So slow down, slow your roll, get to know yourself, enjoy your life, do the things that you love to do. And the universe will bring you guys together. But you got to believe. You got to be willing to do the work. See, all this, God will do it, honey. God only helps those that help themselves. Trust me. If God could do it, a lot of my pastor friend died last Friday. It hurts me to the core. It does. But I'll tell you something. When people are saying, oh, pray, you got to pray harder. Nobody prayed as much as Rev Vic. She prayed for herself. She prayed for all of us. And she still died of COVID-19. So do the best you can. It's like when they tell you put on your mask, put it on. Wash your hands as many times as possible. If you have some kind of diseases that's making your immune system compromised, stay home and make sure that the people around you are not running up and down to bring the COVID-19 to you either. Yeah. That's what relationships are all about. Yes, pray, but do the work. A lot of you guys will walk around with Louis Vuitton bags that are 3,000, 4,000. You won't pay for a life coach. It's like a basketball player that doesn't have a coach. How are they going to win? I didn't become who I am today because I didn't have a life coach. I did. I had several life coaches. I had Tony Robbins for my real estate. I had a monk for my spirituality. I even had a woli at one point that I would call and we would talk and he would translate my dreams for me, you know? So we all need support. We all need life coaches, or maybe you have friends that you can talk to. Reverend Vicky was my spiritual mentor, and that's like a spiritual coach because some of us have gifts that we don't know. And yeah, you need people to help you to build it and to give you a vision. Same thing as relationships. And you shouldn't be telling your best friend or your kids every time you have a problem with your partner, don't go run into your kids or your best friend is probably waiting around the corner. It's happened to me several times. That's, I can't even begin to tell you stories on it. So finding a partner or getting a partner, not finding because they're not lost. See, I learned to choose my words very, very carefully because I now know that our tongue is the greatest weapon that we have. So getting ready to meet your partner is a lot of work, but it depends on you and you can do it. And then once you get the partner, that's a whole nother chapter in the book. All right, but you can do it too. Life is very simple. What you put out is what you get. My name is Mojisola Wilson. If you like this conversation that we're having, please share the video and invite your friends to like the page. I don't make money from what I do. I do what I do because I thought I was supposed to be a pastor, so I went to school to become a minister. And because I was gay, a lot of the churches shunned me and broke me. So this is my service to you. Authentic Conversations is the name of the show. Like I said, my name is Mojisola Wilson, and I am so, so grateful to be able to spend an hour with you guys. Couple of days. We're still continuing the relationship series. If you have topics that you'd like me to touch on, feel free to inbox me and I'll look at it. I'll do some research if it's something I have no knowledge of. But definitely, Saturday is the day that I bring in guests and things like that. So this Saturday, I'm hoping I bring in a couple of politicians, Nigerian politicians, and we'll talk about stuff. I apologize again that I didn't come on last Saturday because my dear friend passed away of COVID on Friday. It still seems surreal to me, but may her soul rest in peace. Reverend Vicky, if you can hear me, I thank you for being a part of my walk. See you guys later.